How damaging to Israeli-U.S. relations is the dispute over Washington's withholding information on the Iran talks? That's the question IBA's Eli Wogelenter asked of Professor Gerald Steinberg of the NGO Monitor, who said that he believes the nation's shared interests will override their current disagreements.
It's my sense, and basically looking at the history of U.S.-Israeli relations, as close as the relationship has been in the good times, and there have been many long periods of close cooperation, the United States, the President, the Secretary of Defense, the head of the CIA, they're not going to share all the information that they have on any issue with anybody, including Israel, and vice versa as well, because that's the nature of sovereignty. There's some things which are so sensitive you don't share even with your best friends. They could leak. Both sides have had problems of leaks, of spies, of other things. It's just part of the nature of national sovereignty. So I don't see the admission that the United States is not fully updating Israel now as being a lot more than part of the ongoing Obama-Netanyahu feud. As damaging as it is, the degree to which there was strategic cooperation before, whether it's changed or not, I think we have to wait and find out how that's going to play out. It's certainly a very unpleasant, very difficult period for those who see Israel-American relations as vital for both countries and also vital for the free world. We're dealing with a very, very complex set of issues. Iran is at the top of that list. Iranian nuclear weapons are frightening. And both Obama and Netanyahu, both the heads of governments, agree that Iran with nuclear weapons is a disaster for the world. So what are the differences about? The differences are about whether Obama's right and negotiations and agreement can somehow change the Iranian program and objectives, or is Prime Minister Netanyahu correct that Iran is on a juggernaut course and everything is being manipulated? And those are real substantive problems to work out, and they're going to be hard to work out. Somebody has to basically take a lead in that.
One of the arguments being given is that the United States wants Iran to help them defeat ISIS. Israel, of course, wants to defeat ISIS. We have a problem with Iran. How do you square that circle?
First of all, the different perspectives on how to deal with the Iranian illegal nuclear program and all the implications about that came up a long time before ISIS even showed up on our maps. It goes back at least to the Bush administration, Bush Jr. Back in, there was a CIA or a national intelligence assessment that was made, I believe in 2007 or earlier, that said, no, Iran stopped its illegal nuclear program, and Israel said that's not the intelligence we have. So we've had different perspectives on this that precede Obama and Netanyahu, and I think that's important to keep in mind. So adding the ISIS point to this very complex equation just makes it even more difficult to deal with. And there, the question of whether the United States can somehow work with Iran against ISIS. It'll be interesting to see how the new defense secretary in the United States, Ashton Carter, weighs in on that, because he's a realist. He's very different than Mr. Obama and many of the other people that came in, the political people that came in with Obama. He's been around doing Pentagon, realist American policy, defense policy, strategic policy for at least 20 or 30 years. And I had the opportunity to do some work with him back when I was at MIT, and he was there too. So we know that here's someone who takes the security issues of the United States and the world and Israel very seriously. If he comes out and says, look, there's a realistic way that we can see Iran working with the United States. In history, we've seen, look, it was Roosevelt and Stalin who worked together to defeat Nazi Germany. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. If there are no illusions about what that means in other areas, this is the area we agree to cooperate.
Centrifuges.
Exactly. Or centrifuges, or a plutonium production reactor, or putting together what they already have and making it into a bomb. And that's one of the big questions that has to be worked out, and we're not going to know very much about that probably for quite a while, if in fact the professionals who get away from the emotional aspects can deal with the substance. There should still be a lot of cooperation on those issues between Israel and